Hi friends, and welcome to my channel. For those of you who have been here before, hi, welcome back. I hope you're having a great day today. And if you've never been to my channel before, hi, my name is Gabby, and I am so excited that you chose to hang out with me for a little bit today. As you can probably tell by the title, today we are doing another installment of my series, Classic Book Reviews. This is a series where I read, review, and score books that are considered to be classic pieces of literature. Today we will be reading Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. Kind of matches my shirt a little bit, which was completely unintentional. I chose to wear this because I was like, oh, it's Little Women. This shirt has like the puffier sleeves, which I think were kind of in at the time, but I didn't realize that the blue was kind of gonna match the book. Oops. So at this point in filming, I have already started reading the book, but I did start scripting this video before I started reading, so what I'm going to be saying is completely true to what I thought before I started reading. I have not edited anything from this section in the script, so this is completely genuine. It's just not what I currently think since I have been reading the book. It's just taken me a while to get to actually filming this bit. Do I think I'm undone? Jesus. You know what? No, I'm tying it again. There we go. Now, this book is a little bit different because I had a lot more background information walking into it than I normally do for books in this series, because I did read the script for the 2019 film adaptation with a bunch of my theater friends. For that reading, I read from Mr. Lawrence. It was super fun. I really enjoyed it, and I really wanted to know the full story. I know the basics of the plot because of that reading, but as is true with all book to film adaptations, I know that there are probably a lot of scenes that are missing, and I did hear that the timeline is a little different in the book. The book is linear, so it goes in order of events chronologically, whereas the film kind of goes for the flashback to modern day, with modern day being when the March sisters are in their adulthood and then flashing back to their childhoods. So I do know that much at least. So I know that there are going to be a lot of things that are different between the script that I read and the actual book, but I'm really looking forward to see what exactly those differences are and to just really be able to get all of those extra scenes that they had to cut out of the movie, most likely for time. Now that I've talked a little bit about my background knowledge walking into the story, I'm just going to super quickly go over the structure for the rest of the video and briefly explain that. So I'll be checking in once I'm halfway through the book. I do know that there is a part 1 and part 2, so I'll be checking in once I'm finished part 1 and getting ready to start part 2. I'm about 50 pages ish from that point, so that check-in should be happening later today, if not tomorrow. Once I get to that halfway point, I will give some of my thoughts and reactions so far, and then I'll check back in once I'm finished to review, wrap up, and give it scores. The scoring system that I have created for this series is made up of 10 categories. I'll toss them up on the screen so you can read them at your own leisure. You can take a pause, do whatever. So I'll give the book a score on a scale of 1 to 10 based on these 10 categories, which will give it a total score out of 100. Once I fully scored the book, I'm going to show where it falls in the ranking of the other books that I read for this series. So far, it's really only going to be did it score higher or lower than 1984. Feel free to go check that out if you are interested. Then at the very end, I will be revealing what the next book in this series is going to be. So super exciting. I haven't picked it yet, so it'll be a surprise to me too. Now, before I go ahead and get back to reading, let me know in the comments, have you read Little Women? If not, why haven't you read it yet? Also, have you seen the movie? If you have read the book, did you prefer the book to the movie? If you've seen the movie but haven't read the book, what do you think could be some differences. I want to know your opinions about this, so let me know in the comments. I'm super interested to hear what you have to say. I'm gonna get back to reading. I am super emotionally invested at this point. I've cried like, I don't even know, but I'll stop explaining my thoughts because I will be checking back in with you guys later. So I'll see you guys in just a second. Hi, I'm back. I know I am in pretty much the exact same outfit, but now I'm wearing a sweater. In case you didn't know, I live in Pennsylvania. We got a lot of snow recently. We're supposed to get more snow either later today or tomorrow. I love snow when I'm inside, but not when I have to go outside. Also, my room is right over the garage, so it gets really cold in here. Just after I got done filming, I ended up just going and sitting on my floor and banging out the last 50 pages of part 1. So that's why I'm in the same clothes, because it's the same day. But I'm ready to discuss. I tried to put the book in the exact same spot so that it doesn't look weird, so hope I did it. Anyways, yeah, so I just finished part 1 of Little Women, and guys, when I tell you I cried like 50 times, girl, if you know, you know. Like, why she gotta play with my heartstrings like that? Who gave her the right? If she wasn't given the right, how did she find the audacity? I need to know. I need to know. It's just, I'm curious. I need to know. Who let her do this to me? You know? Anyways, cried a bunch. Really wish I was kidding about that. So I have a bunch of siblings, and I have one biological sister, Selena. I love her so much. So having the story be set around a group of sisters really hit home for me. My sister, and I don't think I've mentioned this before, but my sister is only a year younger than me, so we're really close in age, like the March sisters, and I just love her so freaking much. So all of the sweet, really sisterly moments really got to me because I really love my sister. Sorry if I get emotional talking about this, but she's away at college and I really miss her. Come home to me, Lena, please. Anyways, I love each and every one of these characters so much. They remind me a lot of my own family. My sister saw the movie and said that she like immediately texted me, like I'm pretty sure it was while she was still watching the movie. She's like, oh my god, Gab, you're just like Beth. Now that just makes me really sad. But I kind of get where she was coming from with that. We were talking about it and she was saying that she's like a mixture of Joe and Amy and I'm a mixture of Beth and Meg, which completely makes sense. Like that is what it is. I think the moment that hit me the hardest was definitely when Beth got sick. I mean, that was a super emotional moment just in general, but especially because of that sisterly bond between Joe and Beth reminds me so much of my bond with me and my sister. We butt heads on our own, but we love each other so fiercely. And what was really hard was that entire time Amy had to watch, not even watch, she couldn't even watch. She had to worry about her sister from a distance. And Joe was right there taking care of her. And especially with the pandemic, it really hit home because in March I got sick. Sorry, this is still a little hard for me to talk about sometimes. But me, my mom, my stepdad, and my younger brother in mid-March all got COVID. And it was really hard being sick and not knowing what was gonna happen to me. Because I'm overweight, so I'm more likely to have complications from it than other people. So it was really scary. So I could only imagine what it was like for Beth. Because I already know that she never fully gets better, which was really what I was afraid was gonna happen to me. Thankfully, I don't have any major complications. We all recovered just fine. But then the position for me switched. When I was sick, my sister had to worry about me from a distance. My sister caught it over Christmas. And her, my dad, my stepmom, and my older brother all had COVID at the same time. And then it was my turn to worry from a distance while I saw my sister sick. So that really hit home for me a lot. What I Sorry, I'm gonna take a second. Okay, I'm good. Anyways, what I really love about it so far is Alcott takes us through all of the special moments and the important moments in the lives of the March sisters, but she also brings us for those moments that may not seem significant, but really show how they developed into the adults that they become, which I think is super important because a lot of that kind of transformation happens in those little moments. So I think it was really neat that we got to see those big moments, like when Amy fell through the ice and when Beth got sick and when Meg got engaged and all of that. But it's also in those little moments that we really come to love the characters, like truly, truly adore them, because I don't know about you guys, but I adore them like so much. But what's really awesome about the way that Alcott tells the story is that she brings us in for those small, seemingly insignificant moments without making the story seem like it's dragging, which can be really hard to do. So it is masterfully done here. Like, if you want a masterclass in how to write those small moments, dude, that's the one. That is the one. And like, I never thought, oh, I could have done without this scene. This one could have been left on the cutting room floor. They were either so intimate and so personal, or they showed us the goodness in these characters, which just really makes you love them more. So she nailed it. But as for right now, that's all the thoughts I have about the book. I am probably gonna go work on some homework, but I'll be back as soon as I'm done, and then we can talk about the rest of the book and do our little scoring, and then we can talk about it, and I'll probably cry some more because I cry for happy moments and sad moments. It's a character flaw that I really should work on, but I will see you guys in just a second. Hi, I'm back. I have now finished the book, so I'm ready to discuss. So, like I explained in the beginning, I'm going to go through each of the 10 categories, giving it a score on a scale of 1 to 10. I'll add up the score at the end, I'll let you know where it places, and then I will reveal the next book that I'm going to be reading for this series. So, I'm going to start with talking about plot. I gave the plot of Little Women a 9 out of 10. I feel like it was a really strong plot. It didn't have the typical 3-act structure, but I think that worked out in its favor in this case. I think that having it set up as following the lives of these women and having it be described to us in scenes was really, really good. I really enjoyed it. I'm very used to reading stories that follow the 3-act structure, so this was a really nice change of pace for me and I really enjoyed it. Next we have main characters. I am considering the main characters the March sisters, so Amy, Meg, Jo, and Beth. I was considering putting Laurie in this category, but I think he's more of a supporting character role, so that's why I'm doing just the March sisters. And I give the March sisters a 10 out of 10. I think that they are incredibly well constructed, they are very well written, and what I really like about them is they each have their own major flaw walking into the book that they kind of learn to correct over the course of the story. So for Jo, this is the fact that she can be kind of cold towards men specifically. She ends up realizing later in life that she does want to get married and have a family and be loved, and so she makes that 180. For Amy, that is her materialistic nature, so she wants nice things, she wants to marry rich so that she can afford nice things, and she does end up marrying rich in the end. She marries Laurie, but the important note is that she doesn't marry him for his money. She actually denies the proposal of a richer man to be with Laurie. So it's part of that shows that she didn't marry him for money. She also flat out says, like, hey, I actually wish you were poor because then you could know how much I really love you and that it's not for your money, it is you. Which, not gonna lie, made me cry because I thought that was really sweet. So I feel like she makes the most dramatic change. And for Meg, that would be that she wants to be a part of high society. She ends up marrying a poor man who's a teacher, and she becomes very happy with that life, although sometimes she does get envious of, I think her name is Sally Moffat. Definitely the last name Moffat, but I think the first name is Sally. I think it's Sally. And then for Beth, she actually doesn't really have any very visible flaws in her personality, but her story is, I guess, remedied would be the word, that she dies early. She dies very young. I think that if she had lived to the end of the book, that her story wouldn't have had as much of an impact, and maybe she would have gotten annoying. Because people who are perceived as perfect are very normal. Not very normal. People who are perceived as perfect are very annoying to people who aren't. And nobody's perfect, obviously, but it's that perception. It's like, oh, this person's, oh, they're so perfect. So I think that if Beth had lived longer, unfortunately, we might have started feeling some of those feelings towards her. And I think that her knowing that she was going to die young is the reason that she was kind of perfect. She had to become very contented with the fact that she was going to die, and so she had to be happy with her circumstances, because there's no point in dying pissed off at the world. That's not going to do anybody any favors. So I really loved her whole thing, even though she didn't have that whole 180 like the rest of her sisters did. Her story was still super impactful. I'm giving supporting characters a 9. I feel like they were all really strong. So we're talking Mr. and Mrs. March, Mr. Lawrence, Laurie, Aunt March, all of them. I feel like they were really strongly written. They were also really well used in supporting the narrative of the 4 sisters. So just so good. I loved them all so much, even though they weren't the main attraction of the story necessarily. I still loved them just as much, so that's how you know it's really well done. Next we have setting. I'm giving setting a 7 because while I feel that the settings we were shown were really well written and very beautiful, the main location and where the Marches live is not very descriptive. It could really be anywhere. All we really know is that it's in America. I'm pretty sure it's in the Northeast, somewhere like in Massachusetts, maybe, but it's very nondescript. It could be anywhere in Massachusetts. If it is in Massachusetts, I don't remember. But that's the whole point. It's so nondescript that I feel like it both benefits and hinders. Like, it benefits the plot, but it hinders the setting as its own category, if that makes any sense. It makes the story more relatable as a whole because it's not very, like, regionally attached, but at the same time, the setting isn't very distinct on its own, so that's why I'm giving it a 7. It's good, but it's not distinct. Next, we have dialogue. I'm giving dialogue an 8. I sometimes didn't like how preachy the dialogue was, but this is coming at it from a modern perspective, so I did try to give it some grace in that aspect. So while I'm sure it wasn't preachy at all at the time, it does read a little preachy today. So I docked 2 points for that, but otherwise the dialogue was amazing. Style is getting a 9. I know these have been scoring really high, but I've really enjoyed this book. I can't think of too many things that I didn't love about it, so that's why it's getting such a high score in a lot of these categories. But for style, I really like the way it was told, and just the way Alcott uses language, I feel is really strong, and if I were writing, I would definitely pull some inspiration from the way Alcott writes, because I really loved it. The way she describes locations and things is really beautiful. It's not overly done, but it's just enough so that you can paint a picture in your head and know how beautiful something is, which I really enjoyed. Also with all the character writing, just, it's all so good. Next we have opening. I'm giving opening an 8. I feel like it was really good. I feel like there are some things that could have kind of displayed the personalities of the March sisters more, because I know that's kind of the purpose of those opening scenes, is to establish those characters. And Alcott goes with a tell, not show method for describing the girls in the beginning. She flat out describes exactly what they look like, what their kind of personality is, which on one hand I enjoyed, but on the other hand I would have liked to actually see it demonstrated in those first couple of scenes instead of being told about it and then being like, oh okay, I see where that characteristic comes into play. I wanted to kind of make that assumption for myself. So that's why I docked a couple of points on that one. Conflict, I am giving it a 7. And I'm giving it a 7 because the conflicts, when we get to them and where they're placed, they're really well timed, they're very well written, they make sense for the story and what the girls are going through. But there isn't like a kind of apex conflict, which is part of that 3-act structure that I'm very used to. So I feel like the way that the conflicts were written, again, benefited the story, but kind of docked off some points for its own category. So that's why plot scored so high, but things like setting and conflict aren't really scoring as high. Next we have ending. I gave ending a 9. And I feel like the last third or maybe the last quarter of the book was really strong. We got a lot of really nice sentimental moments, seeing the girls really come into adulthood fully. So Meg really showing off her mothering skills and getting a handle on that. Amy getting engaged and married to Laurie. And then Jo also getting married and getting part of Aunt March's estate and building a school for boys and all that stuff. We really see them come into their own, and it's really sweet and sentimental, so I just really loved it. And finally we have themes. This has maybe one of my favorite themes of all time, and that is, it is okay if your dreams change. I feel like that is the major lesson that all of the girls learned. I mean, excluding Beth, but all the other girls kind of got to learn that lesson. In like the very last scene, they all talk about their castles in the sky and how it's very different from their reality, but how they couldn't be happier. So Little Women out of 100 gets a score of 85. That is 13 points higher than 1984. So it is currently in first place. And the next book is Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky. I really hope I said that right. But I know a lot of people read this for high school. I never did. This is actually my sister's copy from high school. So I'm walking in, no idea what's gonna happen. So that's what we're doing for next time. Really looking forward to it. And yeah, that is all I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed. Comment down below, let me know what you think. And feel free to hit that subscribe or the like button if you liked this video and want to see more content from me. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me today. Have a great rest of your day. Bye!